Well, hello everybody. Welcome to day 2 of the 40-day challenge. To reiterate some of the information from yesterday, 3,500 calories really is 1 pound. That would mean a 500 calorie deficit per day over the course of 7 days would equate to 1 pound of weight loss. I did not say water loss. I'm talking about either fat or lean tissue loss from your body. Water will fluctuate for various reasons, specifically hormonal, or if you mess with electrolytes like potassium and magnesium and calcium, these things will also change sodium. These things will also change how much water you retain in your body. There's also other things like how many carbs you eat or how many carbs you don't eat. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Please understand when I say 3,500 calories is a pound, I'm talking about actual tissue, whether it's fat or lean mass, okay? That is what we're talking about. And over the course of 40 days, we're going to learn how to lose mostly fat. We're going to learn how to keep that weight off by understanding some lifestyle changes. And speaking of which, everybody, if you have the attitude of this 40-day challenge being, well, I need to lose as much weight as possible, you're going about it all wrong. This 40-day challenge is a 40-day challenge of information. You take that information and implement this information. Please think of the 40-day challenge as merely taking extremely valuable information that has taken my entire life to accumulate. And if you don't think I'm that much of a geek or nerd and spend that much time, anytime you see me driving, anytime you see me walking in a food store, anytime you see me walking around in general, you will notice that there are pods in my ears. I promise I'm not listening to music. You can stop me at any given time. I am listening to some doctor, expert, an audiobook. I am following the latest research all of the time. That is what I do. And then I try to assimilate that information into my own life and into core people around me before I give it to you guys. So I just want you to understand that I'm not just simply delivering information. I also implement it into my life and see its effects in other people's lives and see their effects. So this is the culmination of 20 years of being in this business, meaning owning Fit for Life, working with various individuals with different goals, aspirations, ages, genders, etc. And trying to explain to you guys, this is how we individualize these factors. And you will see that some of this stuff is individualized. That's why we got to understand some of these things. So yesterday we talked a little bit about goals. The 3 goals I told you about were 1, eat organic food, especially meat. What you guys have or will have is the phase 1 and 2 manual. That's it. Once again, I am not asking you. In fact, I encourage you not to read the full manual. This manual is designed for a UTC, which is seminar driven. I talk for 2 hours with the stuff up on the board, and then every day I check in with you guys and you ask questions, and there's coaching, and it goes on and on and on every week for 8 to 12 weeks. And that is one phase. And then we do phase 2 for another 8 weeks, 2 hours each Sunday. This is a lot of information. This is just an outline. So just pay attention to the things I'm asking you to listen to or read, and don't get ahead of yourself. Just implement what I'm offering. So phase 1, I ask you guys, first goal, try to eat organic meat, consume vegetables at every meal, and vary your fiber. We're going to talk about why in this video. Number 2, reduce your sugar, dairy, alcohol, and gluten intake. And number 3 is to stay properly hydrated between meals. Okay, so in phases 3, 4, and 5, I talk much more about why organic meat, why organic. And I will go into that in a future video with you guys. But for now, I'm just asking you to take on faith that I'm asking you to do that for a really important reason. Because one of the things we talked about yesterday was there are both endogenous and exogenous reasons for people to lose weight in a particular way or be reluctant to lose weight. Some of those things included hormones, and I assure you that you get plenty of them in a bad way when you're eating non-organic meat. And again, I promise I will get into that, or non-organic animal products in general. That includes if you continue to eat milk, dairy of any form, again, please eat organic. When I say try to have vegetables at every meal, I don't care what it is, guys. It could be asparagus, Brussels sprouts, leafy greens. Try to have different colors. These phytochemicals that turn your vegetables these colors, these different colors, I will talk about and explain some of their benefits in a future video, but try to vary the colors. Fiber. Again, fiber is extremely thermogenic. Both soluble and insoluble fiber play a role. So by varying your fiber sources in your fruits and vegetables, this is a very good thing. This is one reason why when we look at studies, why people don't have the same response to weight gain when they eat fruit, which has fructose in it, as opposed to straight fructose from other sources. It's because, one of the reasons is because fruit has fiber. Fruit has fiber. And the metabolic effect on your body, meaning its digestion of that fiber, really does cost calories to process it. So yes, 3,500 calories really is a pound. But if we can make food work for us instead of against us, we're making a better investment. So I want you to think about what foods are you investing in for your metabolism. When you invest in organic proteins, when you invest in high fiber foods, you're making a good investment for that quote unquote metabolism that you want to have. You wish you could eat more and still look great. Or you wish you can eat more than the point system that you're using or whatever it is and still lose weight. I'm offering you that. That's all I've been offering, by the way, because I eat a hell of a lot of food, everybody. But the food that I eat, the key is that I make the food work for me. That means that I'm having protein at every meal. That means that I'm having fiber at every meal. That means, and most of my fiber is coming from fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables. You may say, well, Tom, how many servings of fruit? 2 servings of fruit is good. And one of the things that I will call your attention to today in the manual is some of the food structures that are set up that I will go into. When I say reduce dairy, alcohol, and gluten intake, again, mostly what I'm talking about here when I'm speaking of gluten, I'm speaking of refined carbs. Refined carbs tend to have much less fiber. They're way easier to overeat. Again, when we look at over the course of the past 30 years, the average American is consuming almost 500 calories more per day on average than we were 30 years ago. Most of the reason why, okay, and this has been studied, because when you give people non-processed whole foods as opposed to highly processed foods, what we notice is that people tend to eat overeat highly processed foods as opposed to non-highly processed whole foods. So if you give people highly processed foods and say, go ahead and eat, and you give people whole foods, meaning non-highly processed foods, and say, go ahead and eat. When you compare the two groups, what you notice is that the highly processed group will overeat, guess how many calories? On average, about 500. What is that telling you? It means as a society, and you guys notice this, we are moving more and more to boxes, cans, packages, all of which are very easy to overeat. There are consequences when it comes to gluten. There are consequences when it comes to dairy consumption. When you drink alcohol, it's just empty calories, and alcohol works very much like a sugar within the body. These are all calories that just get added on with little to no nutritional benefit. And again, they are very, very easy to overeat. The third thing we talked about was try to stay properly hydrated, especially between meals. Again, the reason why is because water is in your belly. It makes you feel full between meals, not with meals, drinking that water. Also, we talked about when you're underslept and dehydrated, the feeling of hunger is much more likely to come over your body for hormonal reasons, and which we will talk about another time. But I'm just explaining why these 3 goals are there, why you need to focus on them. If you look on page 15 and 16 of the manual, you will see that the number 1 rule, it says rule number 1, if it is in your home, you will eat it. So all this stuff that I'm talking about, these boxes, cans, and packages that are in your home, well, if it's there, you're going to eat it. You're going to eat it. So what I challenge you to do is to go into the pantry right now, open up a garbage bag and throw it out. And go food shopping. Get off your ass and go food shopping. Because guys, if you think you're going to be successful as a lifestyle change, I'm not talking about a diet. It's not what I do. I don't diet. I have a lifestyle. And once a week, I do this thing called food shopping. And I fill my pantry and refrigerator with this thing called Whole Foods. And what you'll notice is that I have control of this environment in my home. It's the one thing I do have control over is what I put in my home. My home. And if you're going to tell me your excuse is your children, then shame on you. Shame on you, because your kids deserve better. They started somewhere, right? They started being fed somewhere by someone certain foods, and someone never introduced or changed that. Well, it's time for a dramatic shift, a paradigm shift, not just for yourself, but for your kids. Because as soon as you give them no choice, I assure you, things do change. And I will be happy to get my mother on this camera Sunday. And tomorrow. And you will hear my mom explain exactly what it was like for me growing up. And this is before we knew anything that we know today about nutrition. I was bitching and moaning about wanting to have this or that in the house when I was a kid, and my mom just didn't buy it. It was that simple. We were relegated to the food that was in the house, and we made it work. It's time to have and adopt that attitude. I assure you, and you will see, because I will put out recipes and cooking videos, that the stuff I make is amazing. It's delicious. You can ask my kids or anybody that eats with me. They will tell you, my God, I'd rather eat Tom's food than go out to a restaurant. And the reason why is because I've learned to cook healthy. In the manual, you will notice there are pages that talk about herbs and spices. Because if you make food taste delicious, if you take a little bit of time to learn how to prepare food, and it doesn't take long. I'm done cooking in less than 15 minutes. Every night, every time. When I come home, when I wake up in the morning, I actually cook breakfast. When I come home to eat, I make lunch. When I come home at night, I make dinner. Do you guys know that I work 7 days a week? Do you know that on average, I work 10 hours a day? That's on average. Okay, I care so much about what I put into my body. Sometimes it takes me 5 minutes, and you'll see. Sometimes it takes me 5 minutes to make food. But I'm never opening a box, okay? I'm not saying you can't open a can or a package or this or that, but you won't see me making a bowl of cereal. You'll see all that as we go along. The other page talks about sugar being public enemy number 1. And all of the reasons why. So guys, dramatically reducing sugar, because at the end of the day, you have to take calories from somewhere. So if you keep the sugar, what benefit are you getting from the sugar? What are you getting? You're getting nothing. So you're already going into a calorie deficit, but you're going to keep the sugar in? Now, where are you getting your micronutrients, your phytochemicals, right? This becomes a problem because the sugar, I assure you, along with the highly refined carbs, map onto overeating. It's the reason why you can't have just one. I'm telling you, I'm giving you pearls here. Listen to what I'm saying. What you need to adjust is what you eat. What? You need to increase protein, increase it. Just go ahead and increase it, everybody. Put it in your head. Increase what? Protein. What type of protein? Organic. What do you get protein from? Animal sources. Chicken, beef, turkey, fish, whatever. Organic. Eggs, organic. Increase your fiber. Where do you get that from? Hopefully mostly fruits and vegetables. Hopefully more vegetables than fruit. Can you get it from other sources? Absolutely. If you look on pages 24 and 25, you will see shopping lists that talk about carbohydrates that you can consume, all of which are very high in fiber. You will see sources of fat. You will see on pages 25 and 26, sources of protein, fruit, and vegetables. You will also see on page 26, gluten-free flours that you can purchase. At this point, you used to have to order them online. You could just walk into Wegmans or Whole Foods and buy them right off the shelf. I mean, the gluten-free world is huge now. It's become super easy. And then on page 27 and 28, 29, talks all about herbs and spices that you can pair with for particular foods and meats to make things taste amazing, as well as their health benefits. These are the things that you need to start to understand as a habit. And if you're the type of person where you're a DoorDash person, if you're the type of person where you've never seen the inside of a Wegmans or a Whole Foods, you're doing yourself and your family a disservice, because you walk around with this thing called the body, and you've been doing it for however old you are, 50 years, 40 years, 30 years, 60 years, whatever it is. And it's your job to maintain it, just like a car. Well, if you want to be able to maintain it without pain and misery, start learning what's on the shelves that's available for you to purchase that benefits your body. If you've never seen the inside of a food store, you don't know, oh my goodness, there's this, there's that, all these things that I can purchase and go home and make. It's a lifestyle choice. That's it. It's a lifestyle choice. People watch on average 2 hours of television every night. You can put something in a pot, on a stove during commercial breaks. You can pause Netflix or whatever you're watching to stir it. It doesn't take a whole bunch of time, guys, but you have to get into the habit of preparing your food more often than not. I'm not saying you can never go out to eat, but if you go out to eat, do you have to have dessert? If you go out to eat, can you start to learn to not eat the bread on the table? Can you start to learn that you don't need to drink the whole bottle of wine? This is what I'm talking about. These are the small lifestyle changes where over time, you start to not miss them at all, because there's nothing that tastes as good as being fit feels. I'm going to say that again. There's nothing that tastes as good as being fit feels. Okay? So take what I'm saying, start to implement these goals. More protein, more fiber, less sugar, less highly refined carbs, meaning things that are in boxes and cans and packages. The stuff that you know that's in your house that you shouldn't have, you know it. It's in your freezer, it's in your refrigerator, it's in your pantry. You know it doesn't belong. You know. Throw it out, get it out. If it needs to be replaced by something else, go out and find it. Look in the manual at some of the shopping lists and start to use your brain and your imagination and some of the tips in this manual for herbs and spices and preparation, and watch what happens. Okay? So guys, this is a journey. Slow and steady wins the race. Each day, I'm going to implement new things. I'm going to show you new things. I'm going to prove to you, yes, you really can cook an amazing meal in less than 15 minutes. And I want you to take away today that most of the reason why people cannot stay on diets and keep that weight off has everything to do with the fact that we are a society of overeating. And the reason why is from our food choices. Okay? All right, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. I'll see you tomorrow.